Welcome to the Eye of the Observer podcast, the podcast of the Observer news staff. On Eye of the Observer, we'll be interviewing the newsmakers and fascinating personalities at Elgin Community College, or sometimes we'll be talking about news or cultural topics among ourselves to inform and entertain you. As always, I'm your host, Vansh, and I'm joined with
Eric.
and I'm welcoming our two guests for today, Arielle and Matt. They're both student pantry chairs and volunteers. And let's go right into the first question. What is the Spartan Pantry?
So the Spartan Pantry is the free-to-use food pantry here at Elgin Community College, where basically any student here on campus can sign up via a pamphlet and take food from the pantry free of charge. And we usually have non-expendable food, but we sometimes have expendable food in the fridge, so it's pretty cool.
So how can a student utilize the pantry?
Basically, they just come to the front. As long as they have a student ID, they're welcome to use it, and they can come in 2 times a week. And pretty much, there's limits on certain things, but for the most part, everything's like free game.
So I want to go back to what you said with 2 times a week a student could come. Have you guys ever had students come in more than twice a week? And have you guys let them, you can say, I guess, slide?
It's rare that that's happened. It's happened once or twice. I mean, it's not like we're going to tackle you to the ground. If you need the food, you need the food. And yeah.
Yeah, usually we assume that you're there. Like sometimes you don't need the food, but most of the people that go there and actually grab a bag and take a lot of food need it. I can probably name off some of the common affiliations we have with PTK. Like PTK sometimes donates food to us, like as in the organization. We also have donations from Sam's Club, like every week on Wednesday. And just to let you know, we have 4 other chairs and an officer that runs the pantry. So cool.
There's always people roaming around ECC, and I know you guys said the pantry is only for students, but have you guys ever had to experience a person just come in and take food from the pantry who's not a student or signed in?
Not in my experience yet, no. Everyone's pretty, good about that.
I've had one time I was doing math on the board, practicing my math for a test. And this I believe was last semester when I was just a plain volunteer. Someone came into the pantry, took something, and literally just left. Didn't say a word. They just quickly just walked in, took something, and I saw them right as they walked out of the door. I'm like, hey, hello, and they're gone.
And I mean, now we're on the subject of people taking stuff from the pantry without permission. What's available at the pantry?
So any canned foods. We also have a fridge, so there's fresh vegetables, salads, different things like that. We also have diapers, sometimes sanitary pads, different things like that. So household items, toiletries.
Have you guys ever experienced products go bad? And if you guys have, do you guys throw them away or just leave them there?
Well, I think it depends on the product. We'll usually those at the end, if they're nearing the date, then we'll put them on an area where it's an unlimited amount that you can grab. But if it's past a point where it's edible, then obviously it's gone.
Right. Okay.
Just the other day, we had it was kind of sad, but we had a little bin of oranges and apples, and we had to throw out half of them. It was so sad.
Did it have mold or?
Yeah. So, one of the apples was completely just trashed. So it's not anyone's fault. There wasn't enough people to take the apples or oranges. Right. And of course they were bad, so we're not going to give them to anyone. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed not a lot of students utilize the pantry as much as they should. So are you guys ever going to bring back the mobile pantry? Because I know that was a huge thing last semester. That was always around.
So we're hoping to do that. Unfortunately, it's nearing the end of the semester, so probably next semester we'll actually bring it back. What was really good about the mobile pantry is not only are we advertising the actual Spartan pantry, but we're still getting food across campus, whether it's cashews, bagged planters, or a Go-Gurt, at least we're getting food to people that need it, and it's usually late in the day, so it's pretty convenient for everyone. I hope we bring it back, right?
Yeah.
And could you just explain maybe the convenience of going to the pantry, other than the fact it offers free food for students, on campus? What's the convenience of the Spartan Pantry?
I think just being able to grab even a quick snack, and then also being around, I don't know, meeting people in there too that you can talk to in your spare time.
Right, like volunteering, you'll meet new people constantly because
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of volunteers in the pantry, which I've seen with my own two eyes. So
Yeah. Something that I've noticed in the pantry is a lot of people kind of go there to not only grab food but to grab like other things like we have toiletries, so like deodorant, toothbrushes, that type of thing.
like hygienic products.
Yeah, right. And people need them, like there's it's just like how people need food, they also need those things as well, right? So
So, like with food and hygienic products, like how often does it go out fast or is it really slow?
So I think it depends on the food product. What we know leaves the shelves the quickest is definitely pasta, right? That's easy to make and pretty easy to throw together quickly. A lot of the diapers I've noticed go by really quickly. So I know that's definitely a need as well.
yeah, and something I always see go by really quickly is the so we usually, well, not usually, we sometimes get just bags of chips or like Takis, for example, on like the middle shelf of the left row of the pantry. I know no one listening to this probably has a visualization, but it's always the shelf that has like
Snacks.
Lay's, yeah,
Yeah,
like
right.
packed snacks. Those always go by so quickly. Like the Takis we packed the other day, like we stocked, they were gone in like a day or two. They get absolutely destroyed.
So how often does the pantry restock?
We get an auto restock from Sam's Club every Wednesday, but any other donations, it's kind of at a random point. It is common that we restock like everything at a certain rate, like at least once a month, I want to say.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
the major one, I think.
Yeah, and that's where we restock everything, not just the chips or the Pop Tarts, like literally everything.
And what's the process of restocking? I mean, we usually think of, at least because most people don't have like a pantry nearby their house, they think of something like a grocery store where people are actually stocking food from, let's say, the back or warehouse or whatever. What's restocking in terms of the pantry?
I think it's a fairly similar process as you would see somebody stocking shelves in a grocery store. So we'll go and we'll pick up a bunch of items, and then we'll have all the volunteers or anybody available stock the shelves and face everything like you would at a regular grocery store.
Is it expensive when buying the food?
The big restock is expensive, yes.
Our budget's usually in like, I don't want to say the tens of thousands, probably a little bit below that, like for the whole year is what I mean, not for the semester. So, and it's really because, as I said, we restock every month. And if ECC's open technically year round, but let's just say a majority of like 9 months out of the year, then, it's going to cost some money, right?
Right. Okay. So with volunteering, the pantry is open during the summer. Are you guys also going to volunteer during those times or hours?
So I think it depends on who's running the pantry at the time, because it's kind of been up for discussion for this upcoming summer semester. It's just going to depend who's the officer in charge and if it's going to remain open. If it's open during the summer, I think we'll be able to find, the hours might be a little more limited than during regular semesters, but.
Yeah, and it'll probably be the new pantry officer because for those who don't know, PTK, I guess officer positions are being offered up right now. So people are applying for new positions as some of the other officers are leaving. So right now, me and Arielle are both chairs, but starting like the end of the semester, technically we're not. We're like probably a different position. So someone else will take over. And yeah, as she said, probably like a couple hours, like a day maybe.
So as a chair, are you guys still looking to become chairs of the next pantry officer or?
So we're not really allowed to be chairs and officers, but I mean, actually, I think no, yeah, I don't think we are. I just wanted to make sure, but we still need to volunteer there once, 1 hour a week. So we will still be there, but not like how we are now. I know I'm supposed to volunteer an hour a week, but I'm there usually at least like 4 or 5 a week, at usually the later times in the day. So.
Are you going to volunteer?
I think I'll probably have to volunteer as well. Right now, I only come in 2 days a week for 1 hour at a time, but I also help with other things when I can.
So you guys are called Spartan Pantry, but what separates you guys from another pantry?
So like, and when you're saying that, you mean like a pantry that's just like
Regular pantry.
a regular one? So in my experiences, because I've definitely dealt with food insecurity personally, going to pantries outside of Spartan Pantry, sometimes they will look for income. And I think that's something that's special about the Spartan Pantry is that it's open to all students regardless of income status. So we're not going to like ask for your pay stubs or anything like that. It's very equal and it's not as invasive. So I think that's a really special component.
Speaking of food insecurity, a while back, Matthew and I, we saw this pineapple that's, had forks coming through it. And you made a poster, right? And I was
Yes.
just wondering, like, why'd you put food insecurity, like, on the poster, if you don't mind me asking?
I just think that, so I don't want to like totally bash whoever did that because it's obviously, I don't know who did it. I don't know if you guys know who did it, but I just think that food waste is like gross. Like we already have so many issues with that. So if you're going to go into a pantry where there's, people that are there trying to feed other people and help out the school and destroy fresh fruit that somebody could have eaten, that's just kind of ridiculous. So
Right. Okay.
yeah.
So why did you guys choose to volunteer?
So I chose to volunteer as a part of Phi Theta Kappa, which is the honor society here at ECC. I chose to volunteer as the chair because I wanted to do service for the community at ECC because I recently started going here this first semester, and I really enjoyed it here, and I wanted to almost in a way kind of give back to the community that's really welcomed me, as I said before, I encourage people to get food and go to the pantry, so I wanted to participate in giving away food and also helping restock it. So.
And I think like my answer is pretty similar. I started off as just a volunteer and I moved into chair, but I wanted to volunteer in the pantry because I know what it's like to frequent a pantry, and so I just felt like it was a really awesome way to give back and also just be like a welcoming face to people that come in, whether it be for snacks or like anything else. Just having somebody that's like kind and there to help people out.
And going away from why did you guys choose to volunteer, were there any big events that affected the pantry?
So when I wasn't here, obviously, when COVID-19 hit Elgin and, there's a pandemic, the pantry for a while was like very low in funding and at one point I think shut down completely because of the pandemic, as well as the school. So it wasn't open to anyone. And as soon as that whole thing ended, it picked up and we got funding from Sam's Club now and other organizations. So that was something that really affected the pantry in a negative way, but we're good and stable now, so we overcame that.
And I know Eric, he mentioned this before, but what's that story behind the pineapple? I mean, like Eric said, they both saw a poster and there was some words written on it, but could you just explain the meaning behind that poster?
So it basically just said that there's 34 million people in the United States that are struggling with food insecurity, and so it's just not a good look to take a donation from a food pantry and then with the intention of wasting it, essentially, was what was on there.
So might I add, me and Eric found it next to the cafeteria, just sitting on a table, and it was leaking pineapple juice, which, by the way, is really sticky, all over the chair and table. Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of a horrible thing to see because, I love pineapple. I would have taken that. Like, I'm sure anyone else would have enjoyed it.
Especially with, some people who actually don't have access to fresh fruit. They could have actually used it. And I think that was a really bad representation of college students. In general.
Another story regarding a pineapple. It might be the same culprit. I was running the pantry one day, and it was really not that busy. I think I saw 2 people in the span of 2 hours. So I was about to close up the pantry for the day because we were supposed to end at 3. And this group of guys came in and were like, hey, we need a pineapple. I'm like, okay, just sign in and you can take a pineapple.
So you know their names?
I do not know their names. All I know is that they wanted a pineapple.
Okay.
So I signed them in. They took a pineapple. And the next thing I see is they walk out the door to the left. So they exit the pantry. They walk out the door that goes outside to the pond. They grab the pineapple and literally just throw it at a goose.
Like the whole pineapple?
The whole pineapple. They literally just threw a perfectly good pineapple at a goose. And, I didn't say anything or do anything. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
Break the pineapple? Like, I can't stop what they're doing. Maybe it's the same people or the same person. I don't know. It's just really random. Like, that was another weird story regarding food and
what if they're trying to
pineapples.
feed them? I'm kidding.
Feed the goose or the geese. I mean, it looked like it was really just one goose, but I think a couple other people were in there with me. I think Evan Fahn was there as well when they asked for the pineapple. I don't remember. He was on this podcast earlier.
Yeah.
That's bizarre. Not only that's wasting a perfectly good pineapple that we could have used. I mean, anyone could have used that. And animal cruelty. I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't.
they
I
did
don't
just
want
beat up a
to.
goose.
I don't want to ask this, but I'm gonna ask this. Was it a direct hit?
I actually don't know because this is kind of ironic. I don't know because they took the pineapple, ran out there, and there's like a little ledge in the kind of in the middle of the pond. So like if you were to draw a line straight through the pond, it'd be in the middle, right?
Okay.
There's a little like rocky ledge that the goose were like kind of walked towards. So the one goose walked kind of under it, and then following that person was that person with the pineapple. And next thing I know, they throw the pineapple right at where the goose would be behind the rocks. So I don't know if it actually hit the goose directly, or all I know is that it was targeting the goose, unless they were just smashing it next to the goose for some reason.
I don't
messed
think
up.
that's practical either.
Yeah. In general, they wasted a pineapple.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean,
Does this happen often? Does people just go inside the pantry and then go waste food?
it's really just been that's what's strange. It's literally just been the pineapples.
It's probably the same guy. He probably just hates pineapple.
I don't know. It's funny, but it's really
He
strange.
probably thinks SpongeBob lives in that pineapple.
Yeah, something like
Destroy all the
that.
houses.
Very, very strange obsession with pineapples.
So moving on from the pineapple story, why does the pantry, need donations, especially at this time?
So you want to go first, Arielle? Or?
Sure. I think it's crucial between restock because things do fly off the shelves, especially those particular items that we named, to just get things in. It also helps with variety, I noticed, which like things that we don't think about bringing in that somebody might just have in their house that they bring in. Adds like some spice, I guess you could say. So just definitely necessary.
So do you guys just accept donations like whenever?
Yeah, whenever we're open. And then there's a table on the outside too where you can drop things off and we'll bring them in.
Oh, okay. So like, do people get rewarded for donating or no?
So in the past, we've done like these little raffle tickets. It's just like for the whole month. I think it was November. I don't know what month it was.
Something like that.
And then so we gave a raffle ticket for every item that was donated.
Oh, speaking of, I was being donated. I believe the Spartan Pantry. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the Spartan Pantry was teaming up with the ECC police, and I believe like if somebody were to donate 5 items, their parking ticket gets revoked.
Oh.
Did you guys hear about that? Or am I getting it wrong?
I think instead of paying for parking, you just need to donate
are you sure
some
it's
food.
for parking?
I'm pretty sure it's God. It was something for parking. Like there was even like a slogan.
I think it was like, oh, if you get a ticket, you just donate food to Spartan
And
Pantry, and
you
your
don't have to
tickets
pay for it.
Yeah, your
I
tickets
love that.
waived away.
It was very creative, honestly. And I don't even think that was from the pantry pantry officer Bryn Brandcamp. But I don't even think that the police officers themselves thought of that. I think Bryn just went to them and then negotiated, obviously, with not having to pay for a ticket. It lasted for I think about a week or two. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So we never talked about this, but how can students contribute or donate to the pantry?
So the students can take what they have at home, or maybe you buy things individually and bring them to the pantry. Like if you have a canned green beans, for example, which we have a lot of in the pantry, but if you didn't use them for Thanksgiving dinner, like for example, just bring them to the pantry. We'd really appreciate it.
Why are donations needed?
Well, according to moveforhunger.org, about 30% of college students at a four-year college can't afford food for a day and have food insecurity. So if you're more fortunate than most and you're able to donate some food to the pantry, it would really, I'm sure 30% of the population would really appreciate it. There's a lot of people out there that live in their own apartments, live away from their home, and they struggle to really have 3 meals in a day. So regardless of what it is, I'm sure any pantry for that matter would really appreciate a donation.
Big thanks to Matt and Arielle for coming onto the podcast and talking about the Spartan Pantry. And a big thanks to our listeners, and a huge thank you to Matt, who's going to actually edit today's episode. And to learn more about The Observer and to see our work, make sure to visit elginobserver.com. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Observer Newspaper and on TikTok at Elgin Observer. Until next time, my name's Vanch, and that's Eric, and we'll see you next time.